Hello and welcome to the London Bulls podcast with me, Tom, and as ever, KD.
Hello.
KD, how you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, good. Thank you, Tom. A good 5 weeks away in Germany. Put on a few pounds, eating a lot of Frankfurters for the Euros. But good to be back into club football.
Yeah. Well, no, it was exciting out in Germany, wasn't it? Obviously, didn't quite end up the way we were hoping. We do have a guest with us today. It is the Hereford FC manager, Paul Caddis. Hi, Paul. How are you?
How are you doing? You all right?
Yeah, good, thank you. I suppose the first question is, were you as disappointed as we were when England lost that Euro final?
I can't say I was. But, nah, let's be honest, I don't think I'm being over Scottish here when I say England were pretty poor in the competition, weren't they? But they made it to the final, and it was a one-off game, but Spain, I think, deserved to win it, and they ended up, to be honest. I thought they were probably the best team throughout.
You don't fancy doing the England post part-time then?
No, I don't think they'll quite take me on, but from a Scotland point of view, I think we done okay, but we had a big opportunity to get out the group stages for the first time ever, and probably kind of limped, to be honest, to try to go over the finish line, but I don't think we were good enough in the end.
Yeah, I think it's just how you give an account of yourselves. You know, it's on a big stage, everyone's watching you. Just got to go out there and
play with nothing to lose a little bit. We've got this reputation, Scottish people, of being, well, Scottish national team, of being full of blood and guts and a brilliant national anthem and passion, which is great, but we're past that now. We've got players that have got Premier League quality, we've got players that play in the Champions League, players that play at Celtic week in, week out in front of 60,000 supporters, and I think we've got to try and get past that. We've got Andy Robertson that's done the lot. John McGinn playing every week in the Premier League, Scott McTominay playing with a brilliant football club, so it was disappointing in that. In terms of that, I thought we were pretty defensive, but however, it was great to get there, and we've got to try and go over this Scottish thing of blood and guts and thunder and lightning and all the rest of it. But I think we've just got to try and get out the group stages.
Well, I know you've had some history with the Scottish national team. I wanted to rewind a bit. I want to just start from the very beginning. You know, the man behind the manager. Where does your passion for football come from? Like, where has it stemmed from, and what's your kind of background? How did you get into it?
Yeah, so I was just a typical young boy. I've got an older brother and two younger brothers, so we've got four boys in the family. My dad wasn't a massive football player. I loved football, but never really played football. But I call him Papa, but my grandpa, probably for the English people listening. My Papa played football at Motherwell. Listen, it was back in the 50s, 60s, so he broke his leg, and then back then when you broke your leg, you were finished, ultimately. So I think it came from there. My older brother played at a decent level, was at United in Scotland, and Arlo in the lower league. So it just came from there. Listen, back then, you guys will know as well, back then we didn't have iPads and mobile phones and all the rest of it. We were running about the streets and playing football and getting shouted in maybe at 5 o'clock for your dinner, and you're straight back out at 5:05, and you're just kicking about your mates. So the love of football literally came from the streets.
And you obviously played for Celtic, one of the biggest clubs in the UK. Didn't have a bad start, did you, marking people like Ronaldinho, Messi and Henry?
Yeah, it was a dream come true. It was everyone, first and foremost, to become a footballer, but there's something I always say to young players, and even to some of our younger players, it's very, very difficult to become a footballer. It's even more difficult to stay a footballer. It genuinely is. So I owe a lot to, obviously, my mum and dad and my brothers and all the family for their support when I was younger. But then once you get in there, it was a dream come true. I was actually at Rangers when I was younger, and I got offered a full-time contract there, but Celtic was my team, and I went there, and God bless, Tommy Burns was who's no longer with us, was the one that nourished me from the youth team right through into the first team, and played with some brilliant players, had some brilliant experiences. I didn't make loads and loads of appearances, but I was still really proud of what I'd done, and I was involved in 3 or 4 league title winning teams that I'm saying involved, but what I mean is I'm travelling every week, and I'm training with the players every day, and I'm in overnight stay hotels, and we travel to the Champions League, and so it was a brilliant experience for me. And people think that I believe that, oh man, I was 36, I think I'm at the, when I just came onto the scene as a young lad, I think I was the last of the old school. I think that nowadays, young lad, put it this way, you can't get away with what you done back then. We were the same, you're dragged up, not brought up. We were dragged up in the dressing room. We had Chris Sutton, Neil Lennon, Alan Thompson, all big characters who would strap you up in bags and throw you about. And just that was it. They used to come. One of the things they used to always do would come into the dressing room, turn the lights off, and just volleyballs. You just had to take cover. But that was part of it. Nowadays you can't do that. But yeah, that Barcelona one's something to always live with me. I genuinely. I was one of those players that I never really bothered. I never felt pressure. I never got nervous at football. I was always had the mindset of there's worse things in life. I could be operating on somebody to try and save their life. You know what I mean? I always had that mindset of you make a mistake, that happens. So no, it was a dream come true, and obviously that night alone was something special that I'll live with me for the rest of my life.
How were you told that you were playing that game? Were you told just before or like the day before?
No, we kind of, so when you play in the Champions League, we used to train obviously on Monday, and then we'd stay, even at home, you'd stay in Glasgow in the Hilton Hotel on a Monday night, and then the Tuesday morning you'd go and train, and you'd just do like a little bit of head tennis and set pieces and stuff like that. And we done set pieces, and even then, I was in the set pieces, but I'm thinking, I don't know why you put me in these set pieces, and it didn't really sink in. And then probably about 90 minutes before kick-off comes in and names the team, and I'm starting, and it's just that's quality. I never really thought, oh my god, what am I going to do, blah blah blah. I just thought, no, I'll just go and give him a bit. I knew if I went out there and I was brilliant, it would be, he's done brilliant for a young lad on his debut for such a big club in the last 16 Champions League against all these world class players. But I also knew that I was at a brilliant football club and I would be protected if I had a nightmare, and I knew that manager Gordon Strachan would protect me and the club would protect me. So I was pretty excited, but I was pretty calm about it, especially like in the tunnel when you look across and see some of those players. It's like, wow, closest I got to them was probably on the computer. So yeah, it was a brilliant experience.
So did you get nervous before? I mean, obviously it's your debut, it's Barcelona, it's the Champions League, at home. You know, is that? I mean, yeah, as I say, do you get big nerves?
I don't want to sound as if I'm this. I'll be honest, I get more nervous as a manager. Much more nervous as a manager. Yeah, the Kings Lynn, my first game last year as manager, I was nervous, and that's probably the first time I thought, what is this feeling? It was nerves. As a player, I was always quite relaxed. It's different as a player because you're out there with 10 of your other mates, and whereas you're the manager, it's all over the place at times. So probably when the Champions League music comes on and you hear everybody and you think, oh, this is brilliant. But I think within about 20, in fact, I think from kick-off, if I remember right, which was clever from I think it was Jan Vennegoor Hesselink. That's a mouthful to say, but I think it was pretty clever. I think he played the ball straight back to me, so I got a touch in the game very early, which just showed a bit of experience from him. But was I nervous? I'd probably be lying if I said I wasn't nervous at all, but I was probably just excited and just grasped the opportunity, and I just thought, just go give it your best.
Yeah, and what was Strachan like as a manager?
Strachan was tough. I was terrified of him, but in a way where I respected him. He clearly, put it this way, Strachan was one of those managers that if he wasn't showing an interest in you, as in having a go at you and constantly encouraging you to do better, then he didn't like you. Sure. So for him to do that, it showed you that I knew he liked me as a player and he liked me as a person, but I was always massively respectful of him. Once he got going in terms of ranting, that he was a tough nut, but no, I really liked him. I played for Scotland, albeit it was only 4 or 5 minutes or whatever, but still done it. He was the manager. He brought me through at Celtic, and since someone who I lean on quite a lot.
That's interesting. It was one of the questions I was going to think about was you know, who do you talk to, managers wise?
Yeah, I would. Listen, Gordon Strachan's always a message away. He's always a phone call away, and he'll never ever turn me away. He's always there to help. I've got players that I've played with that I've managed in Scotland. I've got players that, for instance, Paul Hartley is manager in Scotland, and Gary Caldwell's a manager at Exeter. But one that I probably go to more than most is like Gary Rowett, and it's mad because me and Gary Rowett had wasn't a love hate. I really liked working under him, but we were just constantly going back and forth with each other. And he's been a brilliant help. Got managers I worked under with Richie Wellens and Gary Bowyer, and so there's loads of different ones there, because you've got ones that are just starting or started in the last 4 or 5 years that are new managers. You've got ones that have been in the game and done everything, like Gordon Strachan. You've got Gary Rowett who's recently been sacked and then got another job, and then so I've got a mix of everything. And they say that hopefully it doesn't happen here, but they say you don't become a proper manager until you're sacked. So yeah, it's good just to tap into. I'm always open to listening. I genuinely am. I'm like that. I'm an open book, but at the same time, I do understand it's my decision. So whether I take the advice, I'll always take the advice on board, but whether I take action from it is entirely up to me.
Yeah, and obviously, you talked about some of the managers you played under and that you still speak to. Is Paulo Di Canio still on that list?
He was an amazing manager, right? First and foremost, an amazing manager he couldn't manage people. Genuinely, and that showed when he went to Swindon. We knew, we the Swindon, with all due respect, we need to listen to him because we need to live. Guys on 80, 90,000 pound a week at Sunderland at the time. You John O'Shea, I think Wes Brown, and to name a few. It's not the end of the world for them to go and have a go back, whereas it was for us. So, but he was a brilliant manager. He knew the game inside out. He recognised. I think we lost the first 5 games in a row in League Two. In fact, we played here. I scored a penalty. Di Canio was in the stand, believe it or not.
Yeah, I remember I stood over in the lane.
Was he?
I remember looking.
Yeah.
He kept standing up and down.
Yeah, he was just a jack in the box, brilliant manager, but he fell out with a lot of people. But it's probably one of the best things that actually happened in my career. I ended up going to Birmingham City after it and played the Championship for 4 or 5 years. But I loved my time at Swindon. Got a good connection there, and the only player in the club's history to win 2 league titles, which is something that I've always cherished as well. But no, Di Canio's definitely not one of my favourites, that's for sure.
So you mentioned Birmingham. I mean, I think every time we do a post, whether it was for your birthday or for, sort of just telling people that we're coming on here, there's always a comment from a Birmingham fan saying legend. Why do you think you're a legend? Or why do they think you're a legend?
Yeah,
Maybe you
legends,
would say it.
yeah. That's something I'll never say, like, that's up to other people to make that decision, but obviously that goal was it was remarkable. It genuinely was. It was something that probably no one ever expected to come from me, myself as well. But it was a brilliant day. It genuinely was, and I'm a big believer in you shouldn't always celebrate adversity, so to speak. But we had to. We were made well aware before the game, which at the time Lee Clark was manager wasn't pleased about, which I absolutely get. We were made aware that the club were, I don't think they would have went out of business, but they were in a bad place. And then I didn't quite realise the significance of the goal until probably that was the Sunday, and then the Monday night we had the awards. And you get people coming up that are emotional, and they're saying, like, you've literally, this sounds extreme, but people are saying you've literally saved my marriage, my head would have been all over the place, my mortgage, and you've got people that we don't see because we do the training ground every day. Like, Birmingham's a big club, so there's loads of people employed at the club, like, you've saved my job, but I don't buy that as in, like, not what they're saying. I didn't do it, we done it as a club. I was just fortunate enough to score the goal, and I'll be forever grateful for that. But we deserved a lot of credit as a group, as a football club as a whole, and as supporters were brilliant with us as well.
You probably never bought a pint in Birmingham now, ever since that moment.
I'm boring, I don't drink. Every time I go back and we train obviously in Solihull, so the other time we nip into like the shopping centre or whatever and grab a coffee. It's a place I know I've always been welcomed. A club that I had a brilliant time with, I really did. And Birmingham's it's a typical working man's club. If you just run about and work hard and show a bit of blood and guts and stuff like that, then they'll take to you. They genuinely will, and obviously they had a rubbish season last year. There's no two ways about it, but hopefully from afar I'll be watching, and hopefully they can go straight back up.
I know you touched on playing for Scotland, and we talked about the Euros at the beginning, but what actually was that moment like for you?
Yeah, it was surreal. I had been in the squad quite a few times. There was actually one moment I got called up when Craig Levine was the manager and we went to Serbia. And I was a late call up, so I didn't travel with the squad, so they arranged for me to get a flight and stuff like that. And I landed in Serbia and I genuinely thought I was auditioning for taking the movie. Some random guys come up to me and he started talking about taking me in a taxi and stuff like this, and I thought, wow. So I was daft enough to go with it, but it was legit enough. But then I got in the taxi and I'm thinking, is this guy going to take me away? But no, I travelled quite a few times with the squad, but never got on the pitch. And then we played Czech Republic, and again, I'm immensely proud of. I played maybe about 6-7 minutes, but I'm immensely proud of it because for that 6 or 7 minutes, then I was classed as one of the better players in Scotland. So I'm really proud of that. It's something anyone would want to play with the country. So whether it's 6 minutes or it's 60 caps, I'm extremely proud. But I think I was the only player on the pitch that had the same boots as a referee and the linesman. I'm very old school. I used to wear Copas and Puma Kings and stuff. I'm very old school like that. But no, that was an immense moment proud moment for myself and obviously my family. And it's kind of like when I achieve things like that, and I'm hoping it's a reward for my mum and dad and my brothers and stuff like that for all their support. So no, I'm really proud. I'm really proud of the career I had, and I think everyone should be. And a lot of people, like you look at Steven Gerrard's a perfect example. People say, oh, but he didn't win the Premier League. But yeah, it doesn't matter. He had a brilliant career. Even people that spend the full career in League Two or the National League, it's a tough role. It genuinely is. And people always think, oh, footballers were this, or that, or the other, but what people don't see is like, and I'm not complaining one bit here, but there was 4 or 5 years in a row where I maybe seen my kids on Christmas Day for an hour, 2 hours because we're training and that's our job, and you miss birthdays and you miss weddings and you miss loads of family moments, but it's the dedication and the application you put in to be a footballer, and obviously the rewards are there's no two ways about it, but there is the emotional side of it, especially when you've got kids and stuff like that.
How did the call up work? So were you called, did you get a letter, and do you remember the exact moment where you were?
No, it's very modern day now. Strachan phoned me when I made my debut. Strachan phoned me. Strachan's quite dry sense of humour, so he'd phone me and go, Caddy, Gordon here, get yourself on a plane, you're coming to Czech Republic. Frank will send you the details. See you soon, pal. That was it. So then I got all the details, thinking that they had already sent it to Birmingham. Got on the plane just as we were about to take off. Lee Clark's for him. I'm thinking, oh, he obviously expects me training. So he's like, Kaz, where are you? We're about to start training. I'm like, I'm on the plane to Serbia, to Czech Republic. He's like, oh, brilliant, mate. Just a bit of miscommunication, but no, it's very, very like that. We were, I think, a couple of days later, Birmingham were going to Marbella, so I missed out that 10 days in Marbella rather. But
You played for your
I played for my country, yeah. So absolutely, but yeah, it's very straightforward. I think things like that. It might have been different if I got called up from the very start, because it was a late one. And that's how it worked.
You've had some unbelievable playing moments, an incredible career, but I want to go into your management side now. Why management? What was the draw for you going into that area?
I've always grew up with responsibility. I've loved that responsibility. I've loved it. I grew up in a place that we weren't affluent with riches or money, and I grew up in a council estate, and my mum, obviously we'd 3 brothers, so there was 4 kids. My dad was out working every day, my mum was watching us, and then whenever she could, she would go and catch up. So my dad was literally, and he still is to this day, he works every minute, every day. That's what he lives to work, to provide for his family, and I just seen that's a responsibility that he had for us, and obviously my mum done all the stuff at home and made sure we were eating and getting us dressed for school and make sure everything was on point for us, and we were never short of anything. So it's just I always had that responsibility. I liked that responsibility. Probably get it off my dad, who that responsibility. Listen, all dads do, to have that responsibility for their kids. But and then just through the youth teams, I was captain, and then been captain at most clubs I've been at, apart from probably Blackburn and Celtic. So yeah, more so that, just the responsibility. And then I got to an age about 30, 31, started to think more about it. I never wanted to be an assistant, a first team coach, and I wanted to get straight into the deep end and live and die by my own decisions.
And for you see the Hereford job come up? What was the kind of draw for you? What did you like about the club?
I was a bit late, to be honest. I was late to the party. I think that the application date, I think I'd missed it, but someone that I remain really close with had contacted me and said that I should go for it. And I'm thinking, first of all, it might put the club off that I'm 3.5 hours away. I've never managed before, just all those things going through your head. But I thought, go and do it first and foremost with experience. Can I get in the room? That's the biggest thing inside of football. If you can get in the room, then you've got a chance. So I managed to get in the room and sit in here with the board, and yeah, I just openly spoke. I never made anything up. I never lied. I was just open and honest. And I've done a lot of. I've watched so many games and tried to do a little bit of background on the club and the people that are here and just stuff like that. And yeah, I just came and I was open and honest, and I never lied to anyone. I didn't promise anybody anything except from things that I know that I could deliver on. I never once said that we'd come and get promoted, we'd finish in X place, we'd do this, but I did promise that I will put a team on the pitch that will run for every ball, will fight for everything, we'll try and bring the community back together. So yeah, that was the process of it. That was the first interview process with the chairman, Jamie Nicholl and the con, just sat over there, and obviously the legend Graham Turner. So had that, and then the second one was more formal, where it was every board member. Graham Turner wasn't in that one, and then I just sat and just expressed. I'm terrible with computers. I would admit I'm terrible with computers. I've never been great with computers. I think Chris actually said it was my presentation was the most basic. It wasn't. You don't win games of football on a computer. You win games of football on the grass, and I was all for let's judge me if I get the job on the grass rather than what I can do on a computer. So no, it was just something I thought, go and apply it, if you get in the room, and then it's an experience and take it from there.
Yeah, and what would you say the toughest part of being a manager has been for you?
So starting from the start, I'll be honest, when I first came in and got the job and got my feet under the table, I thought, this is bigger than I thought. And I think at that moment in time, I think Chris has publicly said it as well, when he was new in the job as well. I don't think together, myself and the chairman, we quite realised what we were in for. The chairman's made it very, very public. There was £5,000 or whatever left in the bank balance. So straight away I thought, right, I'm up against it here. I've never managed, I've never played at the level, the supporters know nothing about me, which is a good thing. I've always been like that. I've always been an underdog. It's something I thrive off of, and I knew if I just come in and just be myself, then if I fail, it's because I've stuck to my values and it's just not been good enough, rather than pretending it was somebody else. But in the last probably 2 months, so to speak, it's been really tough recruitment wise, really tough. I'd probably preferred's the wrong word. It was easier last year because we'd no players and we were starting from scratch. But this year the finances, everyone knows, we're well aware of it. We aren't quite out the mud, so to speak, but we're out the mud. That's me painting a bleak picture. The board and the supporters collectively with the players last season done a brilliant job in securing the club in a better place, but we aren't in a place where we can go and splash loads of cash. So we're doing our best, and I'm mindful of speaking about it too much because I don't want it to come across as an excuse. That's one thing we've always instilled since I came in. There's a no excuse culture, and that starts with me. I'm in the forefront of it, but it's tough. But we're quietly pleased with the additions we've made. We look at the start of last season compared to where we are now, and we think we're in a much stronger place. We still want to add a few. Whether we can's a different story, but you go and ask the Liverpool manager, and then you go and ask the manager of Bromley, they'll tell you the same. Whatever level you're at, everybody wants more. So, but no, there's been difficult times. There genuinely has. It's a lonely place at times. Tamworth away was really difficult. I was obviously early in the job, and we were, which everyone's got their opinion and entitled to do so. We're paying the money. We're getting. I remember Adam Rooney saying to me, maybe with 10 minutes to go, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm just going to go over and stand in front of them because I'm taking the responsibility. So I always tell the players, when you win, you go and stand in front and go and take all the plaudits, and then I just think that's what managers have to do. And when you lose, I'll stand in front of you and I'll take it. And I did, and I think people probably appreciated that more and probably thought he's got a bit more balls than what we probably let on to be. So I just stood there and I took it. We're getting all the usual shouts, you're getting sacked, out of the club, and all the rest of it. And that was a difficult 24 hours, 48 hours, because the next day as well we had the sponsors night. So it was just trying to make that a good night for the sponsors, but at the same time I'm trying to hide what I actually feel, and I'm angry, I'm disappointed, I'm upset. But no, there's been difficult moments, but listen, it's been brilliant moments as well, and I'm a young manager, and I'll have far worse moments than that. I would love to one day be in that position to get absolutely slaughtered from 60,000 home fans, because it means I've done well and I've got to that place. So I'm learning every day. I'm very much always open to learning and taking responsibility, but ultimately the buck starts with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, once we make Edgar Street a lot bigger into a 60,000 seater stadium, it'll be fine. Because you're not going anywhere at the moment. You're not allowed. So no, but it is interesting. Management is tough. I don't think anyone's going to pretend it's not. And I think it's interesting you say about going in front of the fans after that Tamworth game. It's not something we've necessarily had previous managers, and it's not something you can talk on. But
it's lonely. Lonely's the best, and a lot of people say it. And I remember driving home that night, actually phoning Gary Rowett. I'm like, what do I do now? Like, genuinely, I've never been in this position. What do I do now? And he's like, the first thing you do is you go home. As soon as you open up your door, you forget about it. And that's one thing I've always done in my career. I've never went home in a terrible mood, because it's not my wife's fault, it's not my kids' fault. When I go home, I'm a husband and a father. I'm not a football manager. So that's the first thing I've done. I went home and I just literally put my phone in my bedside cabinet table and just left it there and just spent time with the kids. And because you're still raw, you're still emotional, you end up trying to act on things that you probably maybe 3-4 days down the line you think was probably the wrong decision. So I took a bit of time just to evaluate things. But listen, we've had some brilliant moments as well, absolutely we have. But and we'll have rubbish moments next year again. I'm not here to say that we're going to have loads of great moments. We just hope that we'll have more of those good moments in the do back.
You mentioned going home and like shutting everything out after a bad day. The kind of evolution of social media over time. How do you manage that as a manager, and how do you keep players away from that?
I don't have social media.
But in terms of for players,
do
you see they get caught up in it sometimes?
I don't know. I've not been told last year anyone got caught up on it. I think that the supporters were amazing with everyone, with the players, with myself as a new manager, and I think we played a part in, with the supporters and the board and everyone involved. We tried to bring a feel good factor back to the club, because I think it's important, just the smallest things, like making sure the lads are in the exec club after the game, win, lose or draw, going round after games thanking supporters, and just simple things like I do the updates. That's something that I just feel that, listen, I might not do them at clubs that are individually backed, so to speak, but this is a fans club, so they've got a right to know what's going on. Whereas if we've got an individual, and we're individually owned by a certain person, then it's not my duty to then feed to the fans what's going on. It's that man's business. So, but we're a fan-owned club, so the fans have got every right to know what's going on, whether it's player signings or whatever it may be. So I think things like that have helped. I'm just trying to show everyone of how appreciated we are inside the club, and we would love to tell you that we're going to win the league next year and do everything, but the only thing we can promise is something that we know we can provide, and that's a team that will work hard and players that will be proud to wear the badge, and players that are here because they want to be here, not because of financial gains or anything like that. Like the lads that we kept from last year deserve a huge amount of credit, because to try and stretch the budget, to be brutally honest with people, we tried to change the pay structure, so lads are not getting paid as many weeks as they did last year. So those lads that have stayed have shown that, first and foremost, selfishly, a brilliant commitment to me and Adam and the staff, and secondly, a brilliant commitment to the football club, and they want to be here because they want to play in front of a brilliant support and at the stadium. So yeah, they deserve huge credit.
And obviously, you know, you've been there as a player, but as a manager as well. You know, might sound obvious, but how much difference does having a big crowd, a lot of noise, you know, make as I say, as a manager, but also as a player?
Well, I'll be honest. That one of the reasons I don't like that Blackfriars and not being here is because, are we going to lose a bit of noise? Because it's open now. That's me being selfish. I don't have I don't have a massive connection with Hereford. I've never been a lifelong fan, and so it's all right for me to say that, but I'm just speaking in terms of being the manager. Are we going to lose a bit of noise? Hopefully not, but having that, for me, it's a massive pull for players. That's the first thing I go to. You can play in front of, I think we averaged 2,800 last year. If you want to go somewhere where they average 500-600 for an extra 50 quid, 100 quid, I've never ever had a go at a player that's wanted to move for money. I don't know their personal situation, they've got kids, whatever it may be. It might be the difference between getting an amazing present at Christmas for someone, and I'm absolutely fine with that. And I'm quite ruthless in that terms. If I'll sit down with someone, if you want to sign, then let's try and figure a structure out to get you to the club. If not, fine, I'll shake your hand and we'll move on. I won't dwell on it. And I know a lot recently, a lot of talk's been about Cisse. Cisse was never offered a contract, and I've never come out and said he was. What I did say was, Cisse wants to be here, we wanted to keep him. Yeah. But then there's been an uproar of, we offered him a contract. Cisse was never offered a contract. We sat at the table and Cisse said he wanted to go abroad. However, if that didn't quite work, he wants to be here. And we're like, fine, I want you to be here. Go and do the best for your family. If you want to go and try and get abroad, then do it. Now, the situation's come up where it's probably not going to work out financially for him abroad, so now that's where we've came at. So I think people have to realise that I've never once come out and said we offered them a deal, because we didn't. But the supporters are a massive pool, home and away. And we just hope that we can continue that feel good factor and that drive and keep getting people through the turnstiles, because ultimately, again, as I touched on, it's a fan-owned club, so the more we get in, the better stability the club has.
I want to touch on what you said about the no excuse culture earlier. So you've been part of some amazing promotion winning sides with Blackburn, Swindon. What for you are the key ingredients that makes a winning squad, like promotion winning squad, and what have you tried to instill here as a manager from what you learned?
Yes, one of the biggest things I try in the dressing room is togetherness, whether that's, I dress the players obviously 5 to 3, 10 to 3 before every game, and it's the last thing I always say, regardless of what happens out there, when you're out there. And I'll probably take a lot of stick for this, but I actively tell the players, and again, I'm ready to take the stick for it. If something kicks off on the pitch and there's someone grabs one of our players, I expect every one of my players to be there. We'll get fined for it, absolutely, but that's the culture I want. I don't want anyone ever to feel alone in the pitch. Regardless of result, when we walk in there, in that dressing room, we're always as one. If we want to tear shreds into each other inside the dressing room, fine. As soon as we walk out of it, we're together with the supporters. So we've all, when I won leagues and got promoted, that's one of the biggest things. You've got to have a good dressing room. You don't get promoted by having a rubbish dressing room. You can win games, but not enough, if you know what I mean, in terms of getting promoted with a few bad eggs. But you've got to have a collective good group, and And we had that last year. I know we didn't get promoted, but we internally, I'm really proud of where we were last year. I know we finished 11th, and I don't like that. It doesn't sit comfortable with me. I've been at clubs where you're expected to win. I grew up expecting to win. And one of the things I really don't like in football is the saying of trust the process. I genuinely don't. There is never a process, and there might be a process from the age of 9 to 17 in academy football, but we're in senior football here. There's no process. There's no, let's finish 11th last year, right then, let's go and try and finish 10th. I said, no, why? The progress is non-existent. It's about winning games of football, and you've just got to try and win as many as you possibly can, and that's what I'm here to try and do. I'm trying to instill a mentality that's not just out there. It's I'm trying to, when the board made the appointment of me as manager, the one thing they said that they wanted a football expert, so to speak. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I've been in good dressing rooms, and I'd like to think I know what it takes to. So it's just trying to flip the mentality, first and foremost, inside the dressing room, but then externally as well. It's difficult because I feel as if at times it's a lonely place, and I'm trying things that we're quite not at the level to do yet, but I'm a big believer in if you make your standards world class, and that sounds extreme, but hard work can be world class. You don't need a talent for it. Character. Bring your character. I tell the players all the time, bring your character to the table. If you're quiet, be quiet. Don't try and be who I want you to be. We've got different characters in there, like Matty Preston, for example, you look at Matty Preston walked in last week, first night of training, I genuinely thought he could be in an MMA ring. He's just got that tough look about him. He's quiet enough, but not too quiet. He's loud on the pitch, and then you've got someone else like Montel Gibson that we've brought in, who's bubbly and loud, and Cowles is loud, and Willow's a different type of character. He'll drive people with his standards. You've got Huddy, who's loud and vibrant and really popular, and so I just want everybody to be themselves, and I'm a big believer in, and I know you said at the very start, the man behind the manager. I'm a big believer in the man behind the player. If you tap into someone personally, then you've almost cracked half of the battle, because you get on a personal level with people, then they'll want to run that extra yard for you, or run that extra mile, and what we've always done, or what I've always done with the players is, and I think I've said it publicly, I've always been honest with them. If I have to leave them out of the team, I'll tell them. There's no point in me pretending that everything's rosy, and I'll say you're out of the team because you've not scored, you're out of the team because you've not kept the club enough clean sheets. However, it's not because we don't still believe in you. You just maybe need to spell on the side or whatever, but that's part of management.
We're going to go into some questions from our fellow fans. So a question here from Mark Williams. We scored a lot of great goals last season. What was your favourite? Might not necessarily been the best goal, but it might be.
Probably going right far back to the very start. Probably the equaliser against Kings Lynn. Literally, 25-30 seconds after going 2-1 down, I just thought that it was a relief for me, because I kept publicly saying about how much character the group had, and to actually go and show that at a team that finished second the year before, a full-time outfit, we're a brand new squad, and to do that, that was something I was really proud of. But obviously the players deserve huge credit for showing that character, but that one's probably one that stuck. There's a lot that stuck in my mind, but going right back to the very start, I remember coming off that pitch after the game, away for the sideline after the game, I thought, yeah, we've got a bit of balls here.
A lot of people have commented on the music at the ground here. So when we walk out, has been the Proclaims. Now you said in the fans forum you had a little bit of a say in that. Are we expecting any changes to the this season?
Last year I think we was it Miracle by from Hereford, didn't she? The Ellie Golden.
Oh yeah.
It was Miracle to the walkout, and then I don't even know if it was me that suggested, but Proclaimers come on one time anyway. But that's what it's been. But it's fairly quiet. I think we could probably spice it up a bit. But no, that's maybe something I'll just leave to others. I'm busy enough now.
We talked about support and how amazing the support has been at home last season, but how important has it been away for your players and for you? You know, we've got some crazy distances in this league.
Yeah.
You know, northeast on a Tuesday night, places like Darlington and stuff. How important has that away support been as well?
Oh, it's been incredible, and always try and put myself in their position. Like, I've got kids and they've got a lot of my families and providing, and it's difficult to come and watch football every week. It's not cheap. It genuinely isn't. We're really appreciative of it. The one that sticks in my mind is the Scunny one. The supporters were absolutely brilliant for the full game. They stayed behind and backed us after a poor ending to the game. But they travel in some numbers, and I'm not being disrespectful to other clubs, but we go to some stadiums that aren't quite like this, and they don't get the hospitality that clubs might get here. But they're a huge part of they are the club. There's no two ways about it. They are the club, and we just try our very best when we travel home and away to make a good account of ourselves and represent them. So we are hugely appreciative. We always are, and we just hope that continues.
We had another question, which is, do you prefer managing or playing?
Winning, managing, for sure. When you're winning, managing's much better. When you're losing, then playing's better. I'm not one. I try not compare. I try not think about my career's done. My football career's done, and I'm really at ease with that. I'm pleased with it. I'm proud of what I've achieved. I'm proud of what I've done, and now it's just, I feel like an apprentice again. I'm like the equivalent of a 14, 15, 16-year-old player. I'm a young manager. I'm still learning in the game, I'm really enjoying management. The past 4 or 5 years is something I've really, really wanted to do. So I'm enjoying it. It's got its pros, it's got its cons, but the bigger picture is I'm at a brilliant club that I'm getting a lot of support from, and I'm really enjoying it.
And again, we had a lot of very good matches last year. In terms of, I mean, it's probably Tamworth, but what was the toughest game tactically to try and sort of set up for, not without, releasing?
There was quite a few, because you come up Tamworth, obviously the first thing you think with Tamworth is they're going to launch balls from halfway line just by that threat with the throw in. So it's, do you focus your team on being 6 foot? Do you get your biggest team on the pitch because the majority of balls are going to come in the box, or do you try and overcome that by keeping the ball on the pitch, by putting better technical players on the pitch? So just trying to weigh up, trying to get a mix of both. And then there's some teams that are pretty direct, there's some teams that are open, there's some teams that are narrow. So it's just, we try and pick the best team to play against that we think can go and win the game. So if we play against a team that's maybe, we see a weakness at left back, we might play someone that's got pace at right wing, or whatever it may be. So tactically, I think at times I don't remember going off the pitch any time last year and thinking, we get that so wrong. Like Tamworth, we got beat 4-0, but we conceded 4 goals from second and third phases, from throw-ins, and we looked at it, and this is not me trying to give us praise or the players praise or anything like that. We conceded probably 9 goals out of our full goals against last year by teams playing through us. The rest were from corners and set pieces. So we have to get better at that. The first phase, the second phase, we conceded a lot from set pieces. We conceded a lot from long throws in the second phase coming back in. It was never, because our reactions, I think, are the best in the division. When we lose a ball, I demand that we shout something all the time in training and the build up to games. It's a sprint reaction. There's no excuse. If you can't go and win the ball back, just sprint back and protect the goal. Then you can go and then try and win it back. So tactically, I think we've done okay. Listen, we finished 11th in the league. We obviously didn't do, but there was a lot of individual errors. But I take responsibility for that. I bring the players into the club. So hopefully we can tidy up on just the kind of 18-yard box stuff.
You know, in terms of motivation, if we come up against a full-time side, is that a point of motivation for players as well, to prove, like, we can have you, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it can be. Yeah. And one of the first things I'll give you a little insight, when I spoke to the players this year, I actually wrote on the board, do not listen to a word I say in the media. Like, don't take what because when we play against full-time teams, I'm going to Put the pressure on them. They're full time. We get 4 hours a week, sometimes 3.5 hours a week. They get 4, 5, 6 hours a day. So they're looking at probably 24 to 30 hours a week together. We get 3.5, 4. That's trying to fit in set pieces, tactical stuff, shape. It's also trying to bring a bit of fun to the session, because you can't just all be bang, 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 bang. It's what you've got to have a bit of everything. So we balanced that pretty well last year. And then obviously we played Tuesday night, for example, and then we come in yesterday and it was more about, let's have a look at some set piece stuff, something a bit more lighter, because we just did a game. Let's have a head tennis competition. We've done this fun game where you're lying on the floor and you're heading at each other. Just things just to get people laughing and bringing people together. So when you play against full-time teams, then absolutely, I'll be out there and I'll be saying how much more money they've got, but that's just the mind games of a manager.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What would you say last season your favourite or the best home game and the best away game was?
Best home game for me was Rochdale. Just think FA Cup, and this is me being selfish. Just it was we beat someone from a division above, so it was like, can I try and tick that off as early as I possibly can in my managerial career, and we've done it. And I thought, talking about tactically, I thought we set up, again, the players took on the game plan perfectly. For 70 minutes, we just let Rochdale have the ball, and then I knew we would get one moment where they would get sloppy, because it happens, they get sloppy, and they did in the middle of the pitch, and when Babs has went and been aggressive, nicked it, rolled it down for Heath, and we scored. And then we just tried to defend that lead, and we did. So at home, probably that one. Away, I would say Chorley. I'll be honest, that's probably one of the games this year I've looked at and been worried. We had 7, 8, 9 players missing. Kills was back on the bench but wasn't quite ready. We had a bit of a makeshift back four, I think. I can't remember who played. Ollie played right centre half with someone, and Lass played in the middle of the pitch. We were a bit mismatched, but we controlled the game really well. They actually played really, really well, and if you see where Chorley finished, then so yeah, that was a good one. Gloucester's obviously for everyone. The thing I loved about Gloucester was the emotion of the last 8-9 minutes. We obviously scored with kills and we're all buzzing, and then it gets disallowed, and then we go and get that goal from Cisse/Willow. But yeah, that was brilliant, and to see the supporters and just to reward them for that, for turning up their numbers and stuff. So probably that. What about yours? What would you say?
At home, probably Spaymore.
Kills last minute.
Because again, I think it's just probably a fan.
And Lass scored a brilliant goal there, didn't he? So the one Lass scored when the ball's come out, he's volleyed right into the corner. Yeah.
Yeah. And away,
Gloucester.
First half of Scunthorpe, away. I actually thought we were going to creep in. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Genuinely, as manager, like, I went in at half time thinking, that's a brilliant first half. And then, again, we spoke off the camera there about, you get teams that turn up and they have moments of quality. They've got the boy Roberts there that's ridiculously talented. He was at Hearts the year before, and he just turned it on, to be honest, and we couldn't quite cope. But yeah, first half against Scunny were brilliant. The atmosphere was brilliant. We controlled the game. Topi's come on and scored, and the message at half time, which clearly didn't work, was let's get through the next 15 minutes, because we knew they'd come out and have a go, and I think they scored 2 really quick goals and then 2 late ones. But I'll take responsibility for the last 2 goals. We were in a position where we wanted to go and try and win the game, and that's one thing I'll always do, and it's maybe something that I've got to learn, but I won't change. If we are drawn 1 each at home with 15 minutes to go, you won't see me putting a defender on. That's not how I work. I would rather go and stick 2 more attacking players on and go and try and win the game. I know there's an element of risk of that, of losing it 2-1, but it would live better with me walking off that pitch, drawn 1 each, having a go, than drawn 1 each and putting another defender on. I'm big on, I try and, when I was at the end of my career, I was going and watching a lot of games, and I seen a lot of teams that would go maybe 1 up, and then the opposition team, then go and put a defender on with 15 minutes to go, which is fine, but I'm then looking at it going, as an opposition manager, 1-0 down, they've just put a defender on, took an attacker off, go and put 2 attackers on now. First of all, because you're sending a message to the players, we're going to go and try and win this, but you're also sending a message to 2,500 people. So it just kind of, sometimes in games you can actually affect it more on the side than what you probably think. Like if I bring 2 strikers on, we're 1-0 down, it sends a message to everybody else, and then the place gets a buzz. You probably change the mentality of the game, you change something in the game, players start finding something, balls start going in the box, and you just never know what can happen. But yeah, that's maybe something that you learn.
I wanted to ask, we're talking about the build-up to playing, teams and stuff, and obviously you don't get much time with the players in the week. How do you mitigate that? Do you send like information during the week to them that they can revise and stuff before a game? Is there ways you get around that? How does that work?
We can do it. At times we'll put some clips in the groups and stuff like that, but we like to. The players, to be honest, the players are brilliant. Like a Tuesday night's tough for players. We train 6 to 8, so it's tough for some lads to get in an hour before. Some players will turn up at 5:45. We're ready to start training at 6. They've been working all day, and a lot of them will turn up in their working gear and stuff like that. A Thursday night's better. We have a later slot on a Thursday. We train at 8 o'clock to 10. So lads are turning up at 7. So we've got an hour there where we try and get as much information into them as we can without overdoing it though. We need to be mindful of just battering players with information, because especially at part-time football, and this is where Adam Rooney's been brilliant for me. Like, he's been a brilliant sounding board for me. My job is literally Hereford. These lads are going, like Kyle Hawkins for example is training to be an electrician. You've got different Willow's obviously doing the accountancy stuff. Their mindset isn't constantly Hereford, where mine's is. So I'm trying to balance both of, can I just drip feed stuff in that will stick with them, rather than going, right, here's 500 different clips, go and watch them all. Willow, I'm using Willow as an example again, it's just because obviously he's local, that Willow's going through exams and stuff like that. It doesn't need me sending loads of clips to him or what he could have done better. So it's just trying to drip feed stuff into them, and it's about trust. We trust them, the players trust us, they take every bit of information on, and I'm a big believer in the players are the ones that always deserve the credit. People can credit managers and boards or whatever else, but it's the players on the pitch. The players last year were outstanding to a man, and it's something I'm really proud of.
So how much, you mentioned obviously Willow and mentioned Bruins and how much he helps you. How much do you sort of depend, maybe the wrong word, but how much do you use players like that who've got really good Football League experience, obviously Rooney in Scotland, do you sort of lean on them to help?
Yeah, I try and lean on all different kinds of backgrounds. You've got Willow, who I don't even have to lean on Willow, he just naturally speaks to people and encourages people and gives them. Adam Rooney does the same, but you've got people that have played non-league for a long time. Kills has played non-league for a while, he's obviously played a little bit higher at times, so they understand the level as well. So it's almost like everyone brings a different part to the puzzle. Like Willow's got the experience of maybe positionally, can you do this? Like Willow will say stuff to Kills, like for example, positionally, can you do this, can you do that? But then Kills will have probably a different mindset and mentality of Willow, where he might say to someone else, you can't pull out of that, you've got to go, because that's what non-league is. It's aggressive, it's quick, it's back to front at times. So tapping into all those different types of characters is brilliant, and different experiences. And the one thing is, I admit to the players as well, like especially last year, I had no experience at the level. I was coming in with an absolute blank canvas. It's easy to watch games on Y Scout and go to stay about 10 minutes max away from File Stadium. So I would go and watch games last year and the year before and stuff like that. But no, these lads have got more experience of me in terms of non-league football. But I'd like to think that in my career and the people I've worked under, then I've got enough to try and put a progressive team on the pitch.
Stanley Jones sent a question and he said, what's your favourite aspect of football management?
I like the pressures of picking a team. I genuinely do. I like having, like right now we've got a really good squad, and I'm already thinking of it's this person or that person, it's that person or this person, is it this shape, is it that shape? So I like all that. I like just focusing on the football, and it's difficult sometimes because I've took that role on of trying to flip the full mentality of the football club, whether it's trying to drive standards within, small things inside the stadium, making sure stuff are tidy and making sure everyone's sticking to and doing their best in their role. It's not particularly my role, so I don't want to constantly get involved with other people's roles, but even with, we've brought Dan in as kit man, just making sure. Dan's never done the role before, but I've never been a kit man, but I've been in dressing rooms with kit men for the last 17, 18 years, and he'll ask me for advice, and we'll talk about things, and we've got a young analyst, so I like the best aspects just managing football, genuinely, but match day is the best. Yeah, match day, probably between 2:30 and 3 o'clock, from when I wake up in the morning, and probably 9 o'clock to 1:30's dreadful. It's not nerves. It's genuinely. It's like boredom. It's like because I come here on a Thursday after training. I've prepped everything on a Friday. I've done I put a board up every single game with information on the opposition. I've done all that, and by Friday night, and I'm just waiting for the only thing I'm waiting for is the game now. So yeah, probably the touchline stuff's the best. Yeah.
Simon Wright sent something in. He said, what persuaded you to extend your contract? Because obviously you live quite far away. It's a big commitment for your family, but what was it that persuaded you?
Yeah, the travel thing's not... Me and my wife moved away in 2010, so we've been away from Scotland for a long time. So I've travelled. I travelled from where I live in Lytham to Bradford, and I travelled for a bit when I was at Swindon and stayed over a couple of nights. So travelling's not an issue at all. We're in a routine now where my wife brings the kids down straight away on a Friday after picking them up. The kids love it. We stay in a local hotel on a Friday night, and so we're in a really good routine. What persuaded me was probably just the support I got and the love I felt, and it's a reward as well. You just feel as if I knew when I came in that I was up against it. Absolutely, I was up against it. So it's just that reward, and probably selfishly feeling good about myself. You're only as good as what your board think you are, whether supporters love us or not, or hate us or whatever it is. It's the people within. If they feel that we've done a good enough job, then great. And obviously we were hoping that we were going to get a better backing to go and get further up the division, and it's been difficult, but that doesn't change my mind anyway at all. It just becomes a bigger challenge. But I've been challenged from a 5-year-old, so I'm used to it. But no, brilliant club. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed my first year. I'm one of those guys that have got one of those faces that looks as if I'm hating life, but I genuinely am. I'm just that. It's just my character. I just try and get everything done to the best of my ability, and with the backing of the players and the staff, and that was probably a big thing as well, knowing that the lads enjoyed it, and I thought, because it was a test for me, it was a test of myself as well. The first year, I'm thinking, how will people take me? Will they like me as a man? And I'm not. I don't manage to be liked. I genuinely don't. You hope that you build up a bit of respect, and I don't. I genuinely, it doesn't bother me if 18 of the players dislike me, as long as they want to work for me, then that's fine. And I think we had that last year, and probably around about February, March, players actually actively started coming to saying we want to stay next year. So probably just a mixture of all that kind of stuff.
Today's July the 19th, and it's someone special's birthday today. Edgar the Bull, happy birthday. Edgar the Bull is walking from Land's End to John O'Groats, walking 1.7 million steps. And he's doing some amazing fundraising, raising money for the squad builder, for Diabetes UK. And I know you have that charity is very close to your heart. Do you want to just tell us a bit more about that and why it is?
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, my daughter was diagnosed with diabetes, type 1 diabetes. We genuinely didn't know, but she went through probably about a week. Just the best way to describe it was she lost her character, she lost her personality. She was like the Walking Dead, to be honest, and we couldn't quite get our finger on it. We took her to the doctors, and the doctors were like, she'll be okay, and they sort of dismissed it. Whereas if they just took a finger prick, they'd have picked up her ketones level straight away. So it was a really tough time for the family. We probably almost lost her at one point. Sorry, it's quite emotional.
That's horrible.
That's right. So we took her to the doctors, and they literally said, I was working at Fleetwood at the time, and they literally said, just get her to the hospital. She's got DKA, so it's diabetic ketoacidosis, so there's acid in your blood and it needs to be treated ASAP. It starts shutting down your organs and all the rest of it. So it was a massive flip in our lives personally. It was tough, it really was, but she's an absolute, like, this is another thing that helps me with football. It's like, she's an inspiration to us all. My daughter as well, my youngest daughter's clued up on it. Silly things like my watch has been going non-stop while here, and it's like she's high or blood glucose levels are low, and so it's a massive change. But we're not here to feel sorry for ourselves, because it's her that's going through it. But she's been remarkable. But her life hasn't changed as much as that sounds. Like, she genuinely hasn't changed, and we just got on with it. She's just got on with it. She got diagnosed when she was 10. She's 12 now, so just managing insulin and managing carb rates. And the thing about diabetes is that a lot of people don't see that. A lot of people just think it's have a jab and that's it. But she's up sometimes at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning for 2, 3 hours. She's then tired the next day. It then affects her blood glucose levels, and it can just affect her day. There's no day off. You don't get the Christmas period off where you don't have diabetes. It's every single day is about, she saves her life every day. She genuinely does, and my heart goes out to, and I was very ignorant to diabetes. When we first get told that she had diabetes, we were like what is it? Exactly what I've just said. You just jab yourself and that's you, but it's not quite like that. So no, it's something that's close to my heart, and that's brilliant. I generally didn't know he was doing it for diabetes until the other day, so if I knew, I'd have loved to have got involved, but I don't know if there's still time for me to do so. But yeah, it's something that's close to my heart, but it's a brilliant cause that he's doing it for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We'll put a link on the bottom of this for Edgar's Walk and for Diabetes UK as well. So if you want to donate, absolutely go for it. Now, we've got you the present. So whether you like it or not is different. No, it's not quite like that. We've got you a t-shirt. So it's London Bulls with our new logo on it. Paul Caddis Black and White Army, if you can see it on the camera, but we'll take pictures of it, so don't worry. But there's only 2 of these in the world. You're getting them.
Brilliant.
But yeah, we wanted to present you with this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for doing this today.
No problem. Thank you. Cheers, guys. I'll get that on.
So
Take it you got well.
Just in case.
Large. At the start of last season, I'd been a medium, but don't play anymore, so I just eat cakes. Brilliant. Thank you.
There you go. So, well, thank you so much for talking to us today.
No problem.
Yeah, you've been fantastic. Really insightful. It's been interesting to hear your thoughts on last season and on this season and management generally, and your time as a player. You played at some fantastic clubs and had some fantastic moments. So
no, thank you. Thanks for inviting me on. I really appreciate it, and hopefully you guys go from strength to strength and keep getting people on board. And obviously, if there's anything we can do as a club, then just let us know.
Thanks for everything, Paul. Really
No
appreciate
problem.
it, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks
Cheers.
for everything.
Thank you.
Cheers.
thank you.